Now at 5 a.m. on WKYT this morning, it is Super Tuesday. Candidates are looking to take a major step toward winning their presidential nominations.
While both parties looking for delegates today, GOP candidates also looking ahead to Kentucky's Republican caucus on Saturday.
And Lexington police say a home was struck by bullets overnight. We'll have the latest on the investigation into that just ahead.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning and welcome in on this Super Tuesday. I'm Rebecca Smith.
And I'm Bill Bryant, and here we are, March 1st, and it sounds like March is going to roar in a little bit like a lion later today. We anticipate some potentially strong storms. It's a WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day, and here is meteorologist Micah Harris to get us ahead of that.
Yeah, and this is a low-end threat. However, there's still a threat outside. That's why we have that First Alert Severe Weather Day here with you. So just keep in mind that, yeah, you're going to get some strong storms rolling through, but isolated severe cells will be embedded within a few of these storms. Here's the look outside temperature-wise. It's 46 in Richmond, 35 in London. The only way you do that, a few clouds here and there hovering over Richmond, Lexington, and then you work your way just south of that. Laurel County, you're waking up at 35 degrees. We get into your afternoon, it's going to be anywhere from noon to 6 p.m. that we'll see that strong to severe weather threat. But who's going to be at noontime and who will be at 6 p.m.? Well, I'm going to break that down for you. I just built a graphic to show you exactly when it rolls by your house, coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, we'll look for that shortly. And voters in several states head to the polls on this Super Tuesday to decide who should be their party's presidential nominee.
Yeah, latest polls show Republican Donald Trump leading Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and the rest of the GOP pack in several states in play. Democrat Hillary Clinton is expected to rack up more delegates than Bernie Sanders today. If successful, she could become an unstoppable force to earn the Democratic nomination. For the Democrats, 865 delegates up for grabs compared to about 600 at stake on the GOP side.
And while Super Tuesday is a big day for candidates of both parties, Republicans are also keeping their eye on Kentucky.
Yeah, many of the GOP candidates have planned to visit the Bluegrass this week, each making their case to voters ahead of Saturday's caucus. WKYT's Mike Byer joins us from the live desk with more on this situation and all the campaigners moving through.
The biggest day of the 2016 primary season is here, Super Tuesday, with 13 states and 1 territory participating. Coming into what could be a decisive Super Tuesday for the GOP, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump will spend a part of the day in Louisville. Trump is scheduled to hold a rally at the Kentucky International Convention Center in downtown at 4 p.m. This according to his campaign website. Trump isn't the only Republican presidential campaign candidate in Kentucky this week. Retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson made a stop in Lexington yesterday, and Florida Senator Marco Rubio will also be coming to Lexington on Friday. Texas Senator Ted Cruz is also scheduled to make a stop in Kentucky this week, but his website has not released when and where his campaign will be. This all comes just days before Kentucky's first ever primary caucus that will be held on Saturday. The polls will open at 10 a.m., closing at 4. At the live desk, Mike Byer, WKYT.
All right, Mike, thank you.
Well, Lexington police investigating this morning after a home was struck by bullets overnight.
It happened at a home on Newcastle Street off Dunkirk Drive. WKYT's Mark Barber is at the scene. He's gathering the latest from police. He's joining us now with more on the investigation, at least what we know so far. Mark?
Good morning, Bill, and we're learning that this was a very close call for the 3 people who were sleeping inside the home here on Newcastle Street when it was shot 5 to 6 times early this morning. Now, investigators tell me that there was an adult and 2 juveniles sleeping in back bedrooms of the home, so they were not hurt when those bullets were shot into the front rooms of that house. A neighbor called 911 to report gunfire here around 3:30 this morning. Officers still don't know why the home was targeted, so they're going to follow up with those 3 people who were inside later this morning. Now, so far, investigators tell us that they still do not know who is responsible for this scare. They tell me they are stepping up their patrols in the neighborhood here around Newcastle Street as they continue to search for the shooter this morning. Live in Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you very much. Naturally occurring radioactive waste illegally dumped at an Estill County landfill is continuing to cause concern in that community. And so tonight, the county has scheduled a public forum so that people can ask questions regarding those concerns. Over the weekend, the county brought in a third-party contractor to test the air and water around the landfill as well as nearby schools and homes. The judge executive says preliminary results show everything is normal. Tonight's forum begins at 6 o'clock o'clock at Estill County High School.
Well, we've learned more about when a stretch of Interstate 75 in Tennessee shut down because of a rock slide could reopen. Officer Don shot some Sky First footage of the rock slide yesterday afternoon. The Tennessee Department of Transportation says rocks fell into the northbound lanes about 20 miles south of the Kentucky state line Friday. No one was injured.
The Department of Transportation announced the southbound lanes should reopen within 2 weeks and the northbound lanes within 3 weeks. But work to stabilize the hill and repair the interstate totally could continue into mid-April. Southbound tractor trailers now have to exit I-75 at Corbin and take 25E over to the Cumberland Gap Tunnel into Tennessee. And drivers say it is a long detour.
It depends on if we're going east or not. If we're going east, it'd be about 75 to 100 miles or more.
After the rock slide in Tennessee, we wanted to know how often something like that could happen in Kentucky. On WKYT.com, we have a reality check which looks at where landslides are most common here in the Bluegrass State.
While returning to Lexington, Officer Don shot some footage from Sky First of an ongoing forest fire in the Daniel Boone National Forest. The fire is currently burning in a portion of the forest located in McCreary County. As of Sunday, the Division of Forestry reports there's been 31 fires reported across the state. Kentucky's spring fire season began February 15th and runs through April 30th.
His fight against cancer has drawn support from across the state and even around the country. And now Lexington firefighter Matt Logsdon has returned home from Chicago after his first round of treatment. Logsdon lives in Louisville, and last night that's where his friends held a fundraiser to help him and his family. Dozens of Logsdon's fellow firefighters gathered at O'Shea's Irish Pub on Baxter Avenue. Many who gathered know Logsdon, but plenty of others who don't know him also came out to help. Even Logsdon himself stopped by to show his appreciation.
It just shows me that, you know, being a fireman, the brotherhood just goes beyond the truck. You know, it's not just something you do, it's not just your job, it's something that you are, and it means something to people.
O'Shea's Irish Pub says half of last night's proceeds were donated to help offset Logsdon's growing bills. Another fundraiser for Logsdon is planned for later today. Lexington's Double H Barbecue on Versailles Road is planning to donate 10% of its proceeds to the Logsdon family. Well, with only 2 games left in the regular season, the Wildcats are looking to find consistency before tournament play gets underway.
Coming off a tough loss at Vanderbilt, things don't get any easier for Coach John Calipari's guys as they head to Gainesville for a matchup with the Florida Gators. The Cats dominated the first matchup, but that was in front of a packed Rupp Arena. The Gators will be looking for payback tonight. Coach Cal spoke to the media about tweaking things yesterday, trying to get more production from his big guys. Remains to be seen what changes will be made, but Cal says finding confidence is key. Tonight's game tips off at 7 o'clock and will air on ESPN.
All right, should be a good one, certainly an important one for the Cats.
Yeah.
WKYT this morning just getting started. The time is now 5:08.
A kitten abandoned in a Salvation Army donation bin made headlines across the country this week. Now the mustache kitten has found a permanent place to call home.
All right, we'll find out about that. And the IRS fears last year's taxpayer data hack is larger than they originally thought. The new number of people believed to be affected. Coming up on WKYT this morning.
Radar network pretty quiet this morning, but as we hit the afternoon, showers, thunderstorms, and even that severe weather threat is on the way. I'll have that coming up next. Looking outside on Defender Radar Network, and it is calm and quiet this morning. It's actually not a bad start to the day. Some of us a little bit chilly in some spots, others of us actually not all that bad. 46 now in Richmond. That's the not bad part. The chilly part is Danville, Somerset, London, Monticello. Those are areas that haven't really dealt with cloud cover overnight. So some zones actually look pretty good. The others, you might have to have a coat before you take off. Let's go through your day. You want to know about the storms. Let's talk about that. Once we hit the noontime hour, that's when we'll start to see those clouds really increase. This morning, it will look pretty good, but once the clouds increase, that'll limit that instability that we always talk about. You don't want that. You don't want the sunshine reaching the ground on days like this. But around noontime, you'll see it back toward the 65 corridor, and then it races eastbound. Here around Lexington, I would say anywhere from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. That's your best bet as it comes on through here I-75 corridor, and then it moves off toward the east. It moves out of here by 6 to 7 p.m. And it does look like by 8 p.m. you'll still have a few showers left over, but the severe threat will be over by that time. But watch this, okay? So we go from 8 p.m. at 50 degrees to 32 degrees there by 11 p.m. In 3 hours, you have an 18-degree swing. I mean, you're talking about 6 degrees per hour. I mean, it's a big drop of temperatures as this front rolls on through. That will give us the opportunity to deal with a few flakes overnight. Don't expect any accumulation out of that. Here's the severe timing on this, and I broke it down for you by sections. We go back towards 65 and portions of our western areas, anywhere from 10 a.m. back toward Owensboro. That's well out of our forecast region, but 1 p.m. I would say it's roughly around that I-65 corridor. Then it comes eastbound. Then you're talking about anywhere from Maysville all the way through the Bluegrass region, which does include Lexington, and down towards Somerset across 127 and 27. That's going to be anywhere from 1 p.m. to about 4 p.m. And once again, that does include the Bluegrass Parkway as well. Then you head off toward the eastern areas, 4 p.m. to about 7 p.m. 4 p.m. more of your Moorhead to London. 7 p.m. more of Pikeville and back toward Phelps in Pike County. So yeah, it's mainly afternoon, then it races on out of here, and the night will be very calm. We'll be able to get some rest. Let's get into tomorrow. Early flakes there in the forecast at 37 after a day today of the mid-60s. We could have a 30-degree swing in just about 12 hours. I mean, it's going to be a big drop of temperatures. And those flakes, remember, don't expect any accumulation out of that. Thursday, you'll have rain and snow, but still no accumulation out of that one either. I just don't see accumulating snow anytime soon, especially as you look toward Monday of next week at 70 degrees.
Wow. No snow with
You
that.
heard me right,
Yeah.
70 degrees. So
great
here comes
news.
the
All right, a
spring.
little preview of spring. Here it comes.
That's right.
Micah, you're too late to get that cat that has the mustache. We have this
no.
update for you here that we told you about last week. You know, the famous little mustache kitten now
Yes.
has a permanent place to call home.
How can we forget about this one, right? It's nicknamed, of course, because of a black patch of fur shaped like a mustache above her mouth. The abandoned kitty was found last week in Fresno, California. She was dumped inside a large box of items left outside a Salvation Army. The cat has since been taken to a no-kill shelter, and they've received dozens of applications from people wanting to adopt her.
It broke my heart. At first I was thinking maybe just a larger bin, but how I understood it was like a metal, you know, just horrific, to where people could be throwing big heavy books on top of her.
Workers at the Salvation Army say it was lucky they found the cat still alive. Sue Salvador says she will name her newly adopted kitten Mustachio.
All right, a good name.
Yes,
Goes
very
a lot.
cute cat.
Well, it sounds like she is certainly going to give her a loving home.
Yeah,
Good deal.
it's a good news.
Yeah, 5:15 the time on WKYT this morning. Stay with us for a look at your money.
Why one federal regulator says recalling Takata airbags will not make vehicles safer. Plus, how Subway plans to make sure its foot-long subs are, well, a foot long. I'm Hannah Daniels in New York. I'll have those stories and much more coming up in your CBS Money Watch report.
Hey, good morning and welcome back in. WKYT this morning is on the air. It's 5:19 on the 1st of March. Can you believe we're here?
No, it's great though.
Kind of exciting.
Yeah.
All right, Subway is ensuring that their footlongs are, in fact, a foot long. And Microsoft will start shipping its HoloLens to developers.
And recalling all Takata airbags may not be a viable option, apparently. Hannah Daniels has the latest on your money.
The stock market ended February on a losing note. The Dow slipped 123 points on the final day of the month, and the Nasdaq gave back 32. A recall of all Takata airbags will not make vehicles safer. That's according to a top federal auto regulator. This comes in response to Florida Senator Bill Nelson, who is urging the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to recall all Takata ammonium nitrate airbags. At least 10 people have died from airbags exploding with too much force. Regulators say recalling all Takata airbags would strain suppliers and create more uncertainty. Microsoft will start shipping its long-awaited HoloLens to developers next month. The $3,000 headset projects holographic images into the wearer's field of view without blacking out the real world. That's around the same time Facebook's Oculus will begin shipping the consumer version of its Rift headset that creates a 360-degree fictional universe. Subway is ensuring its foot-long subs will actually be a foot long. This comes after a class action lawsuit in 2013 when a teenager posted a picture of his sandwich that was only 11 inches long. As part of the settlement, the fast food chain says it will institute measures to make sure its bread will be 12 inches long. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. In New York, I'm Hannah Daniels.
All right, a teenager ensuring accountability there. Well, the number of people caught up in the theft of taxpayer data last year is 7 times larger than originally thought. Last May, the Internal Revenue Service said cyber criminals used a popular tool on their website to steal the tax forms of 104,000 people. In August, the IRS revised that number upward to 330,000. Well, now the agency says the number is closer to 720,000. Starting next week, the agency will warn affected taxpayers about potential identity theft and offer them free credit protection. They'll also get an extra personal identification or PIN number to protect future tax filings. Time this morning, 5:21 on WKYT on the 1st of March, your Tuesday, and more news is on the way.
And a look at sports up next.
It's Kentucky and Florida tonight in Gainesville, and once again, John Calipari, right before the postseason, says he's tweaking his team. What does that mean exactly? We'll talk about it coming up next in sports.
We are looking outside at this very moment. 30s and 40s in the forecast. It's not a bad feel, but it's still kind of chilly out and about. We hit the afternoon. You won't feel chilly whatsoever. 65 degrees with strong, potentially severe storms anywhere from noontime to 6 p.m. I'm going to really dive into that in further detail in your extended forecast coming up in a few minutes. First, let's check out sports.
Here we go again. John Calipari is tweaking again. He brought it up immediately yesterday as he met with the media before practice. Other than 9 points and 6 rebounds for Marcus Lee Saturday, Cal was not able to get much of anything out of the big guys. Calipari has successfully tweaked before, 2 years ago before the SEC tournament. He's hoping to build confidence and change the way his players are thinking about playing.
If they're struggling to insert themselves, you got to help them and say, here's how you do this. Within what we're doing, let's think about this. And that's, that's what tweaking is. Okay, guys, here's how we're playing. Let's focus a little bit more on this, or let's focus more on this. But we're not going to, it's too late to change how we play, but there's no reason that we can't have a confident basketball team, and that's what we should have.
Calipari said Derek Willis will not play tonight against Florida, but will hopefully be back Saturday for the LSU game in Rupp Arena. The Cats will just have to go into Gainesville and win without him.
That's a big part of our team, but, we've played without him, and we played well, so, we can't blame it on that. It's just a fact. Honestly, I feel like if I shot the ball a lot better, we would have been able to win that game, been in a better position to win or something. But, without Derek, it is hard to space the floor, but, hopefully he's back soon.
Next to last game of the regular season tonight, Cats, Gators, 7 o'clock on ESPN. 11th Region Girls Tournament, Franklin County, Madison Southern. Flyers forcing 18 turnovers. They race to a huge lead. Anna Aristia inside of Rebecca Cook, starting the game on a 17-2 run, and Joey Thacker likes it a lot. Now in transition, Malika Frank ahead to Princess Stewart. She lays it in, gets the foul. Stewart with 21. Franklin County, they get the easy win, 75-52. Dunbar taking on Henry Clay. Blue Devil star Talia Livers not on the bench due to illness. Henry Clay gets the early lead. Lexi Long for 3. She had 10. Dunbar takes a quick timeout. More from the Devils. Oriana Woods, she spots up from behind the arc and adds to the Henry Clay lead. Dunbar was scrappy, and they led in this game, and they had a chance to possibly win it. Shots did not fall, but Shayla Cecil buries that shot. She had 20, but Henry Clay hangs on without Livers, 39-34. More regional championship action tonight from around the regions. That's a look at sports. Have a great day.